I am about 200 miles now into the lifespan of this brand new Yamaha MT07 in Tiffany blue. Not that that matters, but the color is actually growing on me, which is quite funny. I've come to like the color. It has these Tiffany blue wheels, and at first I wanted to paint them black, but you know what? I'm gonna leave them because I kind of like them. And you know, I feel reignited, reinvigorated. Motorcycling is again fun. I absolutely loved my previous bike, the FTR, Indian FTR, but I guess life got a bit stagnant. And it got totaled, which was very sad, but it was actually a great thing because I am now, just as riding season is about to start, I am now excited about riding again. I feel giddy and I feel like a kid again. I feel like when I first bought my BMW G310R, my first bike, 300cc, 313cc single. Every day I was pretty much screaming to work. Every day was great. I felt alive, and I have that feeling again, so that's great. But anyway, today I wanted to kind of touch on this topic that I've been thinking about a lot, because before I buy any bike, or really anything, but motorcycling is my passion, so I watch a lot of motorcycle videos on YouTube. I went down the rabbit hole the other day, and a good amount of the MT07 videos were, is the MT07 good for beginner riders? Is it a good beginner bike? And I've been thinking about that because I know it's a very problematic statement. It's a very polarizing statement, the concept of a beginner bike. You know, there are people who try to draw these hard and fast lines as to what, you know, skill level bikes are for, and then there are the other people who absolutely hate it and are kind of like emotionally hurt by the concept of their bike being a beginner bike. So it goes on and on and on. And kind of similar to any age-old debate, this argument, I think, or this case of the beginner bike, has kind of entrenched people in these very non-productive ways of thinking about what motorcycling is. And of course, it's a valid question. I think the underlying question is, am I going to kill myself on this motorcycle that I'm about to buy? And the real answer does not lie within the bike and the speed of the bike and the size of the engine. It lies within you as the rider. If I've learned anything from motorcycling, it is that, and what I love about motorcycling is that your fate, and not to be morbid, but just your likelihood to get in an accident, your safety, only resides within you, in your brain, in your technical proficiency. Just within you. Doesn't matter what bike you're on. You could be on 125cc and still kill yourself. But it's a very important thing to understand. And I think it kind of, the line of thinking of, is this bike a good beginner bike, puts that deeper, really more important, all-important mindset to the side in lieu of an easy fix, an easy answer of, this bike's good for me, right? And, you know, the real question for yourself is, do you think you are ready for this bike? Can you handle this bike? And I know it's a little difficult if you've never stepped on a motorcycle. You just don't know what to expect. But I think the real thing is taking the time to understand what makes the bike you're looking at what it is. Is it a really punchy, low-down, torque-happy machine, or is it a top-end, top-speed bike that's kind of dead in the low range? Those are the questions that you really should be asking yourself. And I'll tell you this, I drew a parallel in my head. I don't know if anyone else will get it, but I was a sommelier for 5 years, and I studied wine, and there's a very important distinction to make when you're studying wine, not enjoying wine, but studying it. It's, on the one side, you have the, did I like this wine or did I not? Would I drink this with a steak or would I not, you know? And then there's the other side, which is much more scholarly and much more, I don't want to say scientific, because there actually is a science behind, molecules of taste and flavor. But it's more of a kind of dissecting approach of what is in the glass. Is it full-bodied? Is it light bodied? Is it rich and creamy, or is it crisp and clean? You have to be able to identify what's in the glass to be able to accurately describe it to a guest, void of emotion. Not, hey, you'll like this wine. It's, what do you like to drink? Let me match up these qualities. And I think the same approach should be taken in motorcycles. It's, first, do you like the bike or not? Yes, absolutely, that's important, because you're going to be riding it, you're going to be paying for it. But then, if you want to be real with yourself, pick apart what you're going to use the bike for primarily. Is it city riding? Is it the once a week ride out to curvy roads, or using it on the highway? Those things matter. And then based off of that, you can determine what bike might fit your lifestyle more. Then you want to think about, your physicality. Are you short or are you tall? I happen to be, I guess, I like to say average. I am of average height. I am 5'7", 5'8", and taller bikes are more uncomfortable for me. Again, I can adjust, but a bike with a 32 seat height, since I do primarily city riding, is going to be a real pain to stop at every light and kind of have to shift my weight over off of the bike just to keep it up. Not going to be fun for me. And then there's the technical ability. Did you grow up around wheels? Do you drive a manual car? Are you good at fixing things? These things are important. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but I'll give you myself as an example again. I grew up on wheels since I was like 7 years old. Not motorcycles, but I've had many, many bicycles. I rode a fixed gear through high school and college with no brakes, and I used to ride up traffic. I don't recommend that, I'm just saying. But I always have looked at transportation as kind of a challenge and something that I enjoy being on top of. I do not like driving a regular car, an automatic car, because to be honest with you, I almost fall asleep every time I drive because it's just boring. You press on the gas and you're just cruising. I don't like that. So I know right off the bat that whatever bike that I decide to go with, I'll figure it out. And certainly there are bikes that I would much rather figure stuff out on. But if you put an inline 4, a liter bike right in front of me, it would take me much longer, but I would figure out how to ride that bike. And the same thing with like a Harley, a big bagger that's, fucking 800, 900 pounds, I'd figure it out. So I'm confident in my technical ability, so to the point that I could choose whatever bike and ride it. Are you? That's the question. So when you start asking yourself these questions, you'll better hone in on what bike will suit you, not so much does this fall into some, preconceived notion of a beginner bike. That's an important distinction to make for me. I also think the term beginner bike carries this really negative connotation, and it draws this hard and fast line in the sand that says, when you're a beginner, you can use this bike, and then you have to buy something else. And of course, that's what kind of the motorcycle industry depends on, and they design bikes, lines of bikes this way. If, for instance, if you look at anyone, but let's pull BMW out. That one has a special place in my heart because it was my first bike. All of the controls for almost all of their bikes, their lines of bikes, whether it's their G310R, their S1000 single R, double R, their ADV bikes, they have the same cluster of instruments on the left and right hand in the same order. And that's because they plan on you working your way through their line. It's a business thing. So, it is. I don't mean to make it, sound like some evil plan, but it's just a business. It's what you would do. You want to standardize your system so that people will buy all of your products. They plan on you thinking that it's a beginner bike and you can only use it until a certain point, but it's just not the case, because if you ask anyone who loves riding and who has ridden a lot of motorcycles, you can ride anything and have a great time. This bike here is a perfect example. I stepped down from my FTR, my Indian FTR, which is a 1200cc V-twin. This is a parallel twin, 698, I believe, 698 cc's, so about half of the power that I was getting before, but it feels equally, if not more, alive than the FTR for a number of reasons. but I have a ton of fun on it, and I'm going to continue to have fun on it. And I know people who have been riding for 10, 15 years who have this bike and who swear by it, who have actually told me when I asked them about this bike before I bought it, and they said, you absolutely should get it. I've been riding this for 6 years. So there's no negative connotations to something being considered a beginner bike or something being less powerful. It's really in the eye of the beholder. And I think it's important just to understand that and to ask yourself the right questions so that you don't limit yourself, and that you also don't fall in this kind of negative approach of, will this bike be good for me? The question is, are you good for the bike? So on that note, I will sign off and see you guys on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. I will be posting a video of my initial thoughts of this MT07 and what I like and don't like about it. Very casual. I don't like doing formal reviews because I don't think I'm qualified to give you formal reviews, but I do have a lot of opinions about really how great this bike is and how well suited it is for what I'm doing. And also, I will do is this bike good for beginners? For everybody out there who still wants to know, I absolutely will post it. So keep an eye out for those videos. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.